I think even I truly believe that male and female, wife and husband, that it's not just a title, but it's an office in God. It's an expression of the nature of God. There is something that a man expresses about who God is that the woman is not supposed to. There's something that the woman expresses about who God is. I remember even as we were getting married, we were talking about gender roles from a biblical perspective, even when the Bible talks about husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church, but you would also see in the Bible, then if God is talking about the husband almost as the Lord himself, the Lord calls himself a vine dresser. He's the one that takes care of the garden, the environment. And and he was saying, even in my conversation with my husband, he was like, as a man, my role is to create an environment for you to thrive in.
Wow.
That if you're failing in life, I failed, because that means I didn't create an environment that was healthy enough for you. And I think even as a woman, every time we talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, but that woman was a boss. She woke up early. She had businesses. She was running things. Her kids loved her. But she was a boss, all around.
All around.
But I'm learning that the beauty of a woman is in submission.
Okay.
And not submission that has this negative tone to it, but submission from the place of respect. Submission, because the woman, even when the Bible, there's a scripture that calls the woman a weaker vessel, and it's been abused. It's been used against the woman. But I truly believe that the only reason that God says, or there's this idea that she's the weaker vessel, is because it's in all her power. She's called to be vulnerable to the man.
That's what it is.
So it's not that she's weak,
actual weakness,
but she's powerful, but vulnerable, because she's vulnerable to his leadership in some degree. And I think for me as a woman is recognizing that women have such a power in God. Every powerful move of God, there are women at the forefront of it. Because women, even in this, one of the things the Lord was teaching me is that the same way women in the natural are carriers, they birth things, they bring life to things. Spiritually, it's the same thing. That women, whenever there's a spiritual move, there's a move of God, even in the natural, there are women in the forefront because they express the nature of God to bring forth.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's recognizing okay, I know my power as a woman, but in marriage, I'm not here to struggle for power. I'm not trying to fight power with my husband, right? But there is I respect him. I don't only see him as my best friend or, my lover, but I also see him as the head of the household. I honor him in that way. And I think that is so critical. And it's also the reason why before a person gets married, make sure you're marrying the right person. Because if you're marrying someone that's a fool, then it's going to bring frustration because now a fool is leading your home, right? But I think for me, it's just learning that there is beauty in submission, and submission in the willingness to say, you know what, babe, I trust you. Does not mean we're not going to talk things through. We're not going to talk as partners. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have healthy dialogues or healthy debates, but that there is a respect and honor that I give you as my husband.
And it's a covering. It's a
covering,
factor for yourself.
How can you fight with your covering? You know what? I don't want this blanket right now. I want to be cold. I want to be cold. No. Yeah. But I think that there is such negativity to submission. I think it's because of the way culture looks at it.
Yeah.
Culture gives it a definition that has nothing to do with the Bible. Culture gives this idea that submission, it has the image of a wife slaving in the kitchen all day. Then when she's done slaving in the kitchen, she's prepping what's for dinner for Christmas.
Yes.
That's her life.
Like a doormat.
Her life is limited to the kitchen and cleaning. And it's no, there's so much more.
Or that she has absolutely no say whatsoever.
No say, no ambition, no vision for her life.
Yeah.
No.
Not that way at all.
At all.
It takes strength to submit.
Yeah.
It takes strength to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a power, not a weakness.
Exactly.
Talk about your role as a wife. What do you think in your eyes now, being a wife for 19 years? What is your role as a wife? What do you think a wife's role? I shouldn't say what a wife's role should be, but how do you define yourself as someone who is, you pay a lot of attention to yourself?
Yeah. in these days, showing up in the world as my authentic self is what is most important to me. I don't always nail it. I don't always do it. But trying to show up authentically in all of my relationships is what I think being a good wife, a good mother, a good friend, a good coworker, a good entrepreneur, all of those things is. I'll give an example. My husband, on the way here, has a situation. He asked my opinion on it. I had an opinion on it, and I was afraid of how he was going to take my opinion. So I softened it a bit. That's why I said I don't always do it. I don't always nail it. Okay, it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
So I softened my answer a little bit. I left. Actually, he left, came back, asked me again. We talked about it again, and I'm pulling out the driveway. Again, I gave him an answer, and then I backed up. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to take what I got to say. So, and we had talked about it once before and he didn't really take it. So I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to just kind of give what I want to say and also kind of not commit to like fully giving it. On the way here, he texted me and was like, I decided to do this. So I called him and I said, that's what I think you should have done from the beginning. And he said, why didn't you just say that? And so I went through and told him like, well, the last time you didn't really, so I didn't really know. And I didn't want to, so I want you to be able to make your own decisions, whatever. The authenticity is saying what I wanted to say and being done with it. That's what he was looking for me to do. That's what I should have done. And that's what being a good wife is.
And I think that is so powerful. And I think that, how you said he didn't take it in the way that you would have liked him to take it. And so that affected how you showed up the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something he should also, think about and work on. But maybe even for you, if you felt like, okay, maybe I could still say what I want to say, but say it in a way where he can accept it.
Yes.
Because sometimes men don't like feeling like you told them what to do. They like to feel like they figured it out on their own. So it's like if you say it, then he's probably going to try not to do it just because you said it. So sometimes it's like, saying it, but leaving a little bit of space.
Yes. For them to feel like it was there at it.
Yeah. For them to just fill in the little blanks that,
Yes. And that is something I do have to work on because I'm like, oh, you didn't like it? So I'm retreating. I'm retreating all the way back. Like, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm not going to say it twice. Okay? You ain't hurt my feelings 2 times. But I know retrospectively, I know in this moment now that he was looking for me to show up authentically. Yes. And my authentic answer and what I really wanted him to do and what I really wanted to say is not what I said. And so when I called him, he was like, why didn't you say that? Well, girl, to me, I didn't show up as my best self or as a good wife in that moment,
But don't be hard on yourself.
No, and I try not to. I give myself a lot of grace. I try. That's what I should say. I try to give myself a lot of grace, but I do take everything as, like, I was thinking about it on the way here. Like, after we talked, I'm thinking about, like, and that's why I'm able to talk about it now. What happened? Why did it work out that way? What was going through my mind? Why did I respond? That's that flawed part of me that's like, let's evaluate what happened.
Well, sometimes that's the Holy Spirit.
Listen, he be talking. Sometimes I would want to put him on mute though. Like, girl, don't do me today.
Not right now.
Not right now. I don't want it. But he be talking.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not even you.
Yeah.
It's God working through that situation with you to show you something.
Absolutely, 100%.
So that's powerful. I know that I had to learn as a wife how to give feedback or to help him think through things without coming off as like aggressive or because I can be like that. Just my personality and how it was brought up and my job, the job I used to work, I had to always have all the answers. Yeah. So I got used to being that way, but I started using questions a lot to help. Like, I wonder if, and and then he thinks, and then he goes with that, right? And so I think
good.
Yeah, a lot
therapists do that a lot too, girl. Yeah. Or they'll say, "I'm curious." Like, girl, you're trying to lead me somewhere,
but it doesn't feel as
absolutely
abrasive, and it gives that space.
That's very good advice.
I'm a psychologist.
So you be doing the thing. Questions are a good way. It's a soft entry.
I like that, soft entry.
It's a soft entry.
What is your idea based on your experience with marriage and based on just the biblical standards of what it means to be submissive now that you've molded yourself in a way where it feels right for you?
So my definition of, I believe all words, obviously they do have meanings, but even like the way words come together. So for me, submission is broken into two words, sub and mission. Sub meaning to be under a mission. When the Bible talks about a house divided cannot stand, to me, you can translate that into marriage. If I have a mission, my husband has a mission, and we're not on the same page, we're not under one mission, we're a divided household.
Yes.
So submission to me is having a mission in your home that your husband is leading and you are standing behind it. But to get to that mission doesn't mean you can't have thoughts and opinions on that mission. It just means you have to be a united front. Once we walk through the threshold of our door, we're lock and key. Like we're lock and step here because we've discussed the mission, we've decided on the mission, we've agreed on the mission. And now I could submit or be submissive to the mission. That's all it means. So when we're behind closed doors, let's talk about it. I have questions, I have opinions, I have thoughts.
Sure.
Let's work it out. It's all worked out. Great. 1, 2, 3, bet. Let's go out this door. And I'm right behind you. And I got your back because I know exactly we're finna turn left right here. And don't worry about it. I'm going to keep watch because I know you finna turn left. Otherwise, you turning left and I'm like, well, that's what I agreed to. I'm going right.
Right. And then you're out of balance.
You're out of balance. You're exposed. You're not together. So that means people can come. Attacks can come.
Yes.
That's all of that happens because we are a house divided.
Exactly. And when you talked about like going to the right or going to the left and being under, it's like when you have a stop sign, right? The mission is that you stop so that the other cars can go.
Absolutely.
But if you are not submitted, if you are not under the mission of that stop sign, you're going to just go through it.
Straight through.
And then there's an accident. So it's the same concept. We submit to things
all
day, every day.
All the time. And I think if we did a better job of to me, I feel like the reason we have issues with submission is because we think it comes from like this authoritative state, like you must do what I want, this, da, da, da. And it can be collaborative. You can come to a mission collaboratively.
Absolutely.
And I can have input on it. To me, being submissive, actually, once that's done, it has to do with once we step outside, are we united? Once we step outside the threshold of our door, are we together? Can you ask me a question? I say the answer is black. You ask my husband, he says the answer is black. Or I say the answer is black, he says the answer is white.
Right.
Well, child, somebody was reading different handbooks. Where'd you get your answer from? Because I had a different answer. We got to talk about this. That's not being submissive. You're not, I said do this, and therefore, no.
That's not what it is.
That's not what it is.
Right.